Hello and welcome to the 40th bonus spectacular special episode. It's not that special, it's just a regular episode. Anyway, for the gameplay this week, I have some Half-Life for you because, well, that's what I've been playing in anticipation of the return of Retro Ahoy. As you might be able to guess, the first episode is on Half-Life, which is a personal favourite FPS game of mine. So yes, look for that this Sunday. It's going to be quite a long episode. I've got a lot to say about Half-Life, I suppose. And my scripts, they always bloom, like I say, into these 15-minute monsters, and this one appears to be the same. Well, it's currently sitting at around 13 minutes, but by the time I pace it and edit it, it might... Yeah, it's going to be another long one. But that's alright, that's alright. It's a favourite of mine, and that's okay. Although, having said that, I was never a big fan of this chapter. This is called On a Rail, and it's basically a series of puzzles whilst you're on a train. But nonetheless, I have had quite a bit of fun replaying the game. And hopefully, if the episode goes down well, I can see me doing a short series, probably after the Season 2 of Iconic Arms. I'll do a short series of Retro Ahoy, and I'll probably do them in blocks like that, like 6 episodes at a time. But anyway, first things first, let's get on with your questions. Sharon Ripmaster says, "Hey Stu, where did your interest in firearms come from?" Do you know, that's a good question. I'm not entirely sure. It's probably video games originally, but I couldn't tell you which ones. Rainbow Six 3 Raven Shield is probably quite an important one. That was one of the first video games I was exposed to that had a wide range of realistic guns. But before that, I'm guessing, yeah, probably games like Half-Life even, you know, just sort of realistic FPS games. You play enough of them, and after a point, it stops being a generic pistol, shotgun sort of deal. And instead you start recognising them, you start realising that, oh hang on, that's a Spaz 12, that's a Glock 17. And it just kind of builds from there, and you learn more about them, and then, you know, you discover that actually they're quite interesting. SBO the Triforce says, "Is there any way to donate? I've been watching since 2011, and I think I should give back to one of my favourite YouTubers. Also, do you think I should buy an Xbox One? I really enjoy racing games, and it seems that Microsoft's got that genre locked down." As far as donations, I guess I'm not really averse to donations, but I am averse to sort of donation campaigns. I cannot bring myself to go to Patreon and do the whole sort of donation campaign sort of video sort of thing. It's digital panhandling. I'd prefer a much more passive route. So YouTube have kind of introduced a means to donate to YouTubers, but they didn't roll it out in the UK, at least not yet. That might be something I'll look into if it ever rolls out in the UK. There's also, you know, rumblings of them introducing better integration with services like Patreon. And if that ever happens, I might look into them further. But, I don't know, part of me dislikes Patreon, because they do take a sizable portion of donations. I think it's 15%. Not even PayPal takes that much. Oh, and of course, because you get paid by PayPal, they get their cut. But Patreon take 15% on top of that. So if you get, you know, like $1,000 total donations, Patreon, yeah, $150 for doing what? Nothing! So, yeah, I kind of resent them for that. So we'll see. I'm not desperate for money at the minute. And I guess going forward, I'll try and still balance view counts alongside, you know, valuable videos. I'm still going to cover Call of Duty this year, for instance. So maybe I can find a balance between, you know, the sort of the long form, the interesting videos, and the slightly more populist side of stuff, the stuff which gets views and gives me advertising revenue. And hey, you never know, my game, Crush, that might yet be a commercial success. Maybe. Who knows? Anyway, as far as racing games, if you told me you were looking at buying either the PS4 or the Xbox One, and you were interested in racing games, I would definitely lean towards the Xbox One. I mean, certainly as far as semi-serious races are concerned. I mean, you've got the Forza, well, you've got Forza 5 and Forza Horizon 2, which is admittedly a little bit more arcadey, but still, compared to PS4, which has, well, nothing really. No Gran Turismo games yet, unfortunately, which is, I mean, that is a shame. I mean, you'd think they'd have got GT6 out by now, but nope. And as far as the arcadey stuff, it's a question of Forza Horizon 2 versus Drive Club. And I haven't actually played Drive Club yet, because the free version has been delayed. I might pick up the full version at some point, but I've been having too much fun with Forza Horizon, which reviewed better, and I think might actually be the better game. So yeah, as far as driving is concerned, I do think the Xbox One has the edge. But do bear in mind, this is coming from someone who, if the Xbox One only played the Forza series, would still be quite a happy man, because I love Forza, I really do. Geeky Nerd for the win says, Unreal Tournament 2004 or Quake Arena? Which one is better, Stu? Oh, controversial one this. I have two answers for you. The first is which I think is subjectively better, i.e. my opinion. Personally, I was always more of a fan of Unreal Tournament. However, in a more objective sense, as far as video game importance is concerned, I do think I would rate Quake Arena slightly higher. They are both of a similar stature, but I think Quake overall just about rounds out Unreal. I mean, certainly if you look at longevity, Quake Live is still moderately popular today. It's kind of niche, but it's still there. Whereas the Unreal Tournament community doesn't really... There's just not as strong a presence there. So in hindsight, I am willing to accept that Quake was the better game, but then, I still prefer Unreal Tournament. Warthog117 says, Stu, have you ever been to Five Guys Burgers and Fries? Being as you're a fan of burgers, I'd heartily recommend it. Fan of burgers? Is that some sort of euphemism? It's true, I've had a burger or two in my time, but then who doesn't enjoy a burger? Anyway, as far as Five Guys is concerned, I haven't been, but I think they might have opened one in Manchester at some point in the past year, so I should probably go the next opportunity I have. I understand they offer the best fast casual burger that America has to offer, at least from a chain. James Burton says, Hey Stu, with Call of Duty Advanced Warfare just around the corner, is there a set plan for what you're going to do with it? I mean, weapons, attachments, perks, all the way to variants of guns to kill streaks. Maybe there could be a cheeky video about the survival mode. On topic, however, I know you'll be covering the game, but the question is, to what extent? My current plan, although this isn't cast in stone, I plan on doing one video per weapon category. I do plan on keeping them long form. I know people like the 10-minute formats, as opposed to the sort of shorter Weapon Guide Express style stuff. So I'll be doing long form. There'll be weekly videos, and I guess they'll run from like launch November to when? I don't know. Whenever I'm finished. I guess there'll be about 6 to 8 videos total, and that'll run until about Christmas. And I suppose, well, it remains to be seen how well it does. I mean, it's kind of risky, you know? Call of Duty, not the game it used to be. Anyway, after Christmas, we'll be back onto Iconic Arms for another 6 episodes of that. And, well, I know that will do pretty well. Matt Cook says, would you say your YouTube income relies heavily on your secondary channel between the larger series? Of course, the main channel pulls in huge views, but between there are only so many videos as opposed to this channel's mainly week-by-week installments. Short answer, no. The bonus videos don't tend to do so well in the long tail. There's, 10,000 people who watch them in the first week, maybe 5,000 the next week, and then it's literally just dribs and drabs that watch it after that. To put things into perspective, I'm looking at a random episode, a bonus number 8, the Copyright-Opolix Special. In the last month, it got 125 views. A pretty paltry figure, really. The most popular videos on my Xbox Ahoy channel, my Ahoy channel, my main channel, they get around 300 times more views per month than that. Which sounds impressive, but that's about 30,000 views a month. I think that's one of my most popular videos gets that on a monthly basis. And then the stuff like Iconic Arms, I think each Iconic Arms episode gets around 15,000 views a month after everything's settled down. Some of the weapon guides as well do pretty well. I think my best performing weapon guide is the AN94 one. That pulls in around 18,000 views a month. And when you consider that I've got there's 83 episodes in the Black Ops 2 series, everything compounds together quite nicely. So the base view count on my main channel is relatively healthy. It's got a nice fat long tail, That's actually one of the sort of the hidden benefits of making, reasonably decent videos, is that people watch them not only on the day that they're released, but maybe a couple of years after they're released. Aside from the fact that I love video game history, this is another reason I like doing stuff like Retro Ahoy, because a video about an older game only gets more relevant with time. Not like your Call of Duty stuff, that's only good for a year and then it drops off. Atos O'Turnan says, Stu, do you like the Need for Speed series? Yes and no. I like parts of the series, but I wouldn't like to say that I liked every single game. I think the first Need for Speed game I played was Need for Speed 3, Hot Pursuit. That was a good one. After that, I think they kind of rebooted the series with kind of a darker, more edgy theme, with Need for Speed Underground. I played that one. The soundtrack, the car customization, absolutely brilliant. So yeah, Underground, definitely a good game. Underground 2, again, yes. Then Most Wanted. Liked it. A little bit brown, but it was still good fun. Carbon came along. Didn't care for that one as much. Still played it. There was, I don't know, there was something different about it though. And then Pro Street was after that, wasn't it? Didn't like Pro Street, I'll be honest. Then it was at this point I kind of put down the series for a while. And I came back with Need for Speed Shift. Who did that? Was that Slightly Mad Studios? I forget. Anyway, I quite liked Need for Speed Shift. It had a pretty good metagame, and the cockpit view was one of the best that I'd seen on an arcade racer, at least. It had a very visceral feel, and I kind of liked that. Shift 2 Unleashed? Less impressive. It felt a bit sort of rough around the edges, that one. And I don't think I've played one since then. I know there are some that are supposed to be pretty good. I can't remember which one. I think they re-released Hot Pursuit, and I lose track. There are so many games, and they're starting reusing names. So I've lost track as to which ones are supposed to be good. Now, recently, I have been quite tempted to buy Need for Speed Rivals on the next-gen platform, but it's still kind of expensive. I'd pay like £7 for it, maybe £8, but I think second-hand the game's still going for £20, and I'm not going to pay that much. So, yeah, it's an okay series overall. It's had its ups and downs. I would love to see a remastered Underground, though, just for old time's sakes. And because, customizing cars is cool. The Blue Kingfisher says, I do like the background tracks in your videos. Simple and effective. What software/hardware do you use to make your music? Hardware, I've got a synthesizer, I've got a micro Korg, and I use that for some stuff. The background to the history section of Iconic Arms was pretty much all done. It's just me pressing keys and stuff on my micro Korg. That's it. I might do it again, similar sort of style for Season 2, because I'm probably going to redo the music. I've also got a MIDI keyboard, just for, interfacing with stuff and doing little riffs and stuff. I think it's just, what is it, a Korg K35? A 35 key, 2.5 octave keyboard. It's quite good. Plugs in via USB and lets me control all my music programs. Software-wise, I quite like Reason for, composing like drum beats and stuff like that. So a lot of the sounds will originate from there. But for sequencing and actually arranging the music, I use Acid, which is basically just Sony Vegas, but without the video. I've been using Sony Acid now for an awfully long time, more than a decade. Back when it was Sonic Foundry instead of Sony. It's part of the reason I've got such an affinity with Vegas, because it's an interface that I've been using forever. And yeah, it's definitely where I feel most comfortable, sort of syncing up all my loops and syncing everything up with the actual video itself. Because that's one of the perks of actually writing music for video, is you can actually, you can make it custom fit exactly what you say and have everything fit the timings perfectly. That's something I've realised, is your music doesn't have to be that good. If it syncs up perfectly to the message, to the voiceover, then people will think it's cool. So yeah, I don't really rate myself as a musician. I'm pretty good with drum machines. I can program a mean beat, but musically, I don't know. My knowledge of music theory is basic, to say the least. But all you need is some drums, a bass line that goes nowhere, drop in the occasional 808 cowbell, boom! You have died, 123345557 says, what happened to the Metro Last Light / Redux video? I'm not even kidding. My copy of Metro Redux was stolen in transit. Ordered it from Amazon, it was dispatched, supposed to arrive, never did. Waited a couple of days, sent an email to Amazon, they said, oh, It's gone missing. Sorry about that. It's out of stock. I'll have to give you a refund. So it never turned up. I got my money back, but since then the price has actually been higher than what I originally pre-ordered it for. Anyway, one day, I'll do a Metro Redux video. Probably, anyway. It might be cursed. I don't know. Edgar Bin Larsen says, Stu, have you tried any Estonian beers? Saku or a la coque? Or any Estonian sweets? Kalev. Off the top of my head, I think I have tried one Estonian beer. It comes in a fantastic bottle. It's a tapered prismatic thing. It's called Veru, and unfortunately the beer itself is a little bit less interesting than the bottle, because it's just a pretty bog standard lager. But it was, as far as lagers go, it was okay. I'd certainly much rather drink that than, something like a Foster's or a Carling, if only because of the fancy bottle. That Man Can Fly says, what's your take on the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus, Stu? I don't consider myself to be particularly excited. They're just phones, aren't they? I'm not quite sure I understand the cult of Apple and this sort of need to go out and spend however many hundreds of dollars on an iterative improvement to a phone. But, well, if you like it, you're welcome to it. My wife has an iPhone. She's big on Apple stuff. Not me. I've got an Nexus 5, and I kind of like it. It's nice. I don't use my phone that much. I'm rarely away from home for extended periods of time, so a mobile device isn't that useful for me. Itan Levinson says, would you say you're more right-wing or left-wing? I'm a centrist, which means I don't have to offend anybody, which is nice. Of course, the European scale of politics is slightly different to the American one. On the American scale, a European centrist would be a filthy communist. Anyway, I'm too tired to talk about politics. Also, I don't care about politics. Harry Stevens says, Stu, I don't mean to be rude, but how much do you drink? You talk about alcohol a lot, and there are many questions on it on your comment boards, and you have done videos like Beverage Guide Express. So how much do you know and drink alcoholic beverages? I like beer. It's true. It's very true. I'm a fan of the beer. But I really don't drink that much. I feel the need to reiterate this from time to time. One of the few times I actually like to have a beer is whilst I'm recording the bonus. Believe it or not. So I've actually just had a beer, a can of Guinness, if you must know. But prior to that, I think I had a dry spell of about a week and a half, something like that. So yes, remember kids, moderation is key. And it's not how much you drink, it's how well you drink. Or, you can choose to not drink, and that's totally cool as well, because, it doesn't matter. Hagen Chuck says, hello Stu, this question came to me whilst watching the latest KDD video. Why don't you upload all your videos to your main channel and just have different series names? KDD, Iconic Arms, Weapons of, etc. Because Crush Dev Diary's a secret, that's why. I don't want to expose my delicate flower of a game to a broad audience quite yet. It's not ready. In fact, I like to keep most of my non-scripted stuff off my main channel. My main channel is where my productions go. I'm quite fussy about this. I like to keep the standard on the main channel quite high. I want the green XA logo type. I want that to be a mark of absolute quality. And the pink one, the AX, I want that to be a symbol of absolute nonsense. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up here. I'm tired. I've got this Half-Life script to finalise and record tonight. And then after that, a couple of days worth of editing. I have a deadline to meet after all. So, thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you on Sunday for the return of Retro Ahoy. Until then, farewell.